start with a top Republican lawmaker introducing new legislation yesterday to ban abortion nationwide. 3 months after the Supreme Court ruled that abortion laws should be decided at the state level, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina unveils his new plan to ban the procedure across the country after 15 weeks. Though Graham's bill would allow exceptions for cases of rape or incest or when the life of the mother is at risk, it would roll back access in some Democratic-led states, which have stronger laws protecting abortion access. This while keeping in place laws in other states where abortions are even more restricted than Graham is proposing. Speaking about the proposal yesterday, Graham said he introduced the bill to make it clear that this is where the Republican Party stands on the issue.
If we take back the House and the Senate, I can assure you we'll have a vote on our bill. If the Democrats are in charge, I don't know if we'll ever have a vote. After they introduce the bill to define who they are, I thought it'd be nice to introduce a bill to define who we are. If you vote with the Democrats, we'll look more like Syria and North Korea and Iran.
Yeah, North Korea and Iran, huh? Okay. That's interesting. Willie, first of all, a couple things. This 15-week ban, if it were like, it sounds a lot like Mississippi, the Mississippi law that Chief Justice Roberts wanted the court to move to instead of a complete overthrow of Roe. But this 15-week ban with exceptions for rape and incest and life of the mother, that's where most Americans are if you look at polling. Yeah. That fits mostly if there is a middle ground in the abortion debate, this is where the middle ground is. It's where most European countries are. Only problem, though, is Republicans have been saying since 1973, this is not a national issue. This is an issue we want to devolve back to the states. Take the power away from the Supreme Court, let the states decide it, and then democracy will reign. Lindsey Graham completely got in the way of that message yesterday with this, and there are a lot of Republicans who aren't really happy about it.
He did, and you're right on the polling. That's not your opinion or mine. If you look at national polling, abortion after the first trimester, support falls off a cliff and continues to go down from there. But to your point, it's a little late for this. This is Lindsey Graham watching what's happening in some of these primary races, what the polling looks like ahead of the midterms, where suburban women are going, where independents are going, voting on the issue of abortion, and trying too late to slam on the brakes and say, no, actually, this is what we meant. This is what we meant. We're more moderate than we appear to be. But it's simply not true. And you saw the frustration with Republicans yesterday pushing back against Lindsey Graham's idea of a federal abortion ban. Here's what they said.
With regard to his bill, you'll have to ask him about it. In terms of scheduling, I think most of the members of my conference prefer that this be dealt with at the state level.
I think the far better approach is the legislation that Tim Kaine, Lisa Murkowski, Kirsten Sinema, and I have introduced, which would codify a number of cases and sets viability as the point after which states can impose their own regulations.
I support the fact that you've got we the people can decide this in 50 states. Okay.
Decisions concerning the hotly contested question of abortion go to elected legislatures. That's going to be principally decided at the state levels.
I think that we need to be codifying Roe and not turning back the clock 50 years.
So, Claire McCaskill, this is a mess entirely of Republicans' own making. They got Roe overturned, trigger laws in many states. A lot of politicians, including many running in important races for the United States Senate, are saying during their primaries, we want no exceptions for rape. We want no exceptions for incest. And now Lindsey Graham trying desperately with a Hail Mary here to put a new marker down for Republicans.
Yeah, the White House sent Lindsey Graham flowers last night. They were thrilled that he switched the conversation back to away from a precarious situation on the stock market to, in fact, of what's going on in every state across the country right now as women are coming to the realization that fundamental rights have been ripped from them. And what's really important about this bill, make no mistake about it, this bill is not a national standard for abortion. This bill is saying to states that want more open access to abortion, we know better, because all of the extreme laws stay in place. Nothing in this bill changes the fact that in my state, a young incest victim is going to be forced to give birth. Nothing changes it. So it is the worst of both worlds. It's saying the federal government knows best in states that have more access. And by the way, state legislatures know best when it comes to the very extreme laws that are now already on the books in more than a dozen states across the country.
Yeah, and Jonathan Lemire, you actually reported on this yesterday that we talked about Biden's split screen, some staffing issues there, putting the president out there while the Dow was going down. But it's interesting. People aren't going to be talking about that split screen a month from now, but I guarantee you people are talking about Republicans proposing a national ban. It's just, again, because that's the issue of the moment right now. And the last thing you want to do if you're a Republican is throw more fuel on the fire. But that's exactly what Lindsey seemed to do yesterday. And my gosh, you look at the Republicans, they're saying, no, we want nothing to do with this. That shows you the impact of Dobbs, the impact of Kansas, and just how on the defensive Republicans are right now over abortion.
Yeah, I was on the White House South Lawn yesterday for the president's remarks there about the Democrats' legislative achievement. And as he was talking, I was getting texts from operatives from both sides of the aisle noting the stock market plunging, noting the bad timing for the president's speech. But then the other messages I was getting included some from Democrats, including a senior White House aide who jokingly mused if Lindsey Graham had changed teams, if now was perhaps on the White House payroll, because the timing of this was so bad for Republicans. They have spent more than a month now trying to change the conversation back to the economy. The GOP has. They didn't want to talk about Mar-a-Lago. They didn't want to talk about the raid and having to deal with Trump every single day. They didn't want to have to talk about the legislative achievements the Democrats have strung together. They wanted to talk about the economy and inflation, and suddenly they were given numbers in which they were able to do that again. Gas prices still down, but inflation elsewhere are trouble, and the Democrats did not get the number at all they had hoped for yesterday. And then Senator Lindsey Graham, apparently freelancing on his own, does this and puts forth this national ban, which we know Democratic voters already charged up about the issue of abortion. This seems like it's Graham's effort to try to fire up the Republican base as well. At least the people that I've talked to initially at both sides of the aisle think it's going to backfire big time, and it's only going to push Democrats that much more to get people to register to vote and get to the polls in November.